Hi team, today we're going to make seared salmon with panzanella, and panzanella is a delicious Tuscan-style salad. And the beauty of it is it's really refreshing, which is perfect on a hot day. The main ingredients are really ripe tomatoes, gorgeous cooling cucumber, roast red peppers, lots of basil, red wine vinegar, olive oil, spiked olives, a little bit of salt from some capers, and then we're going to toast some stale ciabatta, and then we're going to toss all that together, and that ciabatta is going to take up that olive oil and red wine vinegar, and it's just going to be a match made in heaven. And we're going to plop all that onto a plate, sear some salmon, and we're going to have lunch in about 10 minutes. Let's get into it. What you need is just a little bit of stale bread. Now I prefer ciabatta because when it toasts up, it goes really crispy, and it also absorbs all those liquids really nicely without going slimy. You can use sourdough, but any hearty rustic bread will do. Per person, you're going to need 2 slices. You can either toast this in the oven or just pop it in a toaster. Okay, next we need 2 to 3 ripe tomatoes. These are quite small. I'm just going to cut them down through there, and I'm just going to remove that little bit of core through there. Now you really need these tomatoes to be nice room temperature, which they should be anyway. Tomatoes don't live in a fridge unless they're super ripe and you're trying to hold them. And these are gorgeous, juicy, soil-grown tomatoes. They've got lots more flavour. Yeah, three will be fine. I'm just rough chopping them. Now I'm just going to bring all this in, just like that. Easy as. Now I'm going to just take about a 5 centimetre piece of cucumber, so just roughly that, and I'm just going to cut through, and I like it quite chunky. In she goes. Simple as that. Now I've got some roast red peppers here, and I'm going to put about half a cup of those in there. In they go. Now I've got some gorgeous basil. Probably want to add about half a cup of that as well. Big pieces is fine. So this is just basil I picked from the garden. So already you can see the main basis of this salad, the peppers, the tomato, the cucumber. There's a lot of flavour there, and it's going to be beautiful, refreshing. Now we're going to need about 7 olives. So these are just pitted Kalamata olives. In they go. And I'm going to need just a little bit of red onion. So I don't need too much. I'm just going to say about a tablespoon. So I've already cut this in half, and I'm just going to cut this just across the face. Not too much, because I don't want that red onion to overpower it. Just go back through, and then she goes. Now I'm also going to put about a teaspoon of capers. These are quite big. If they were very small capers, I would just chuck them in whole. And if they're big capers, you do want them to chop down a little bit, just because they are a bit big and soggy. Just make sure you rinse those capers, whether they're salted or in brine. I rinse all my capers. And they go like that. That's just going to add a lovely salt component to it. Now, down the other end, we're just going to add about 2-3 anchovies, depending on the size. There's the toaster. And I'm just going to slice these up a little bit. These are just tinned anchovies. You can also use the lovely marinated white anchovies. They are delicious as well. I quite like anchovies, so if you're not a big fan, you can always just leave them out, but I do like that little bit of kick that they give. Now I am just going to add a tiny bit of garlic. Now this is almost going to seem unnecessary. I'm just going to take the very tip of that. I just want a tiny bit of garlic, just to add a nice little bit of heat and that lovely garlic flavour. So I'm just mincing it up on the board. It's just tiny, but it's just going to add a lovely little kick. Okay, that's essentially my salad, and now the dressing is going to be a mixture of really good quality red wine vinegar, and I love the Forum Cab Sav vinegar, and I'm going to use some beautiful extra virgin olive oil. Now basically in a salad like this, we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of each, so equal parts. And I can always adjust later on. I can add a bit more or a bit less. You can't really go wrong. And by the time you get that sort of combination right, it's going to be almost, with the tomatoes, it's almost going to be like a little gazpacho, except it's going to be nice and chunky. I'm going to add a nice pinch of salt and a good crack of pepper. Now I'm just going to go grab my toast. I'm just going to cut through the middle. Oh, I love this. Ciabatta, so good. Those crumbs can all come in as well. Okay, and this is our salad. It's as simple as that. Because it's so simple, it really relies on the quality of the ingredients. You've got to have ripe tomatoes. You've got to have beautiful olive oil and beautiful red wine vinegar. Fresh basil, all those other ingredients play a role. The cucumber, the olives, and the capers, they all play their part. But if you don't have ripe tomatoes, just hold off until you do. This is not the salad to make with green tomatoes. Bringing that up, look at all that colour. And when I pull this up and I'm looking at the red wine vinegar in the bottom, I want to see a decent amount of olive oil in there. Just have a little taste of that, and it should be balanced. If it's too vinegary, just add some more olive oil. Conversely, if it's too oily, add a little bit more red wine vinegar. And a good thing with the ciabatta is it's actually better if it's stale. If it's beautifully fresh, it's going to be softer. So if that ciabatta or crusty bread is a bit stale before you toast it, it makes it extra crunchy, which adds that extra kind of texture. Right, so we want one decent sized piece of salmon fillet per person. So this is about 160 grams. 180 grams is ample, quite a bit of protein, a little bit of sea salt. I've got a pan just warming up over here, and I've got an oven on 200 degrees, just on a fan grill. A little bit of pepper. Just turn that over and do the same thing. And I'm just going to put a tiny lick of olive oil in my pan to start that off. Now salmon's got quite a bit of fat in it, and even cooking it skin side down, it's going to release a lot of fat as it cooks. So you just need a lick of that olive oil. Just going to move that around, and in she goes. Beautiful. Straight away I can hear the sound of the salmon sizzling away, which means I've got a nice hot pan. I might transfer it to a higher flame if I feel like the pan needs a bit more heat. I've just got it on a reasonably slow burner, just like that. And what I want to do is get that skin nice and crispy, and I'm going to cook that essentially the whole way, skin side down. I'm going to give it 2 to 3 minutes, just rendering the fat out of the skin. If your pan's too cold and you put your salmon, just be careful that that skin might stick to it. And in that case, you might just need to use a little scraper just to gently ease that off. But that's moving nicely, sizzling away. Give it 2 or 3 minutes, we'll check it. Okay, we're just going to check that salmon. Yep, it's starting to get nice and brown there. Still just needs another minute. That was about 2 minutes. And then I'll pop it in the oven. So you can see the beauty of this salad. It's very quick to prepare, and a lot of the ingredients you can have on standby. Normally got red wine vinegar and olive oil in your pantry, and if you haven't, definitely invest in that. And it's just fresh ingredients from your garden. Okay, this is looking good. In she goes. We'll give it 4 minutes, check it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here we go. This has been in for about 4 minutes. We're just going to have a quick check. So the skin, you can see just with the heat in that pan, it's just rendering down. That is just perfect. It's lovely and crisp. And now I'm just going to have a little bo peep, and I'm just going to open that up. And it's just a little bit undercooked in the center, so I'll just give that 2 more minutes, and then we're in business. Okay, so it's been another 2 minutes. Hear that pan just crackling away there nicely. I'm just going to pick that up. Just have a little bo peep in there. Perfect, look at that. Still lovely and pink in there. I'm just going to leave that in there just to sit and stay warm. I'm going to bring my plate over, and that's exactly how I like my salmon to be. Just still lovely and pink on the inside. And here's our beautiful salad. And you might say this is quite a big salad for one person, but it's so delicious and so light, you're going to come back and just tidy up those little leftovers. Just grab that up there, make sure you get plenty of everything. The bread, the olives, the basil, yum. Talk about the Mediterranean diet, this is just incredible. I can smell that red wine vinegar. Right, here we go. Just gonna tip some of this juice on there. Yum. Smell the garlic in there. Here's my salmon. And I'm just gonna turn you over to the front here. Nestle you in. Look at that. It doesn't need it, but I do love this olive oil. Just a beautiful lick over top. And that's it. Gorgeous seared salmon, under 10 minutes, with a refreshing Panzanella salad, bursting with flavour from the roast peppers and those ripe tomatoes, all the gorgeous olive oil and red wine vinegar that really make the dish That's it. Simple as that. Enjoy. Oh, I'm starting with the bread. That's so good.